Hello and welcome to another episode of the Simon and Friends podcast. I'm Simon Short. Joining me this week is Ben Parker. Ben, welcome in, man. How you doing?
I am doing great. I love this stuff. You and I should be doing this twice a month, and we will during the off season, but we have a lot of football to watch during the regular season. I'm doing great. I'm so excited about the guys we're going to cover tonight, especially one position group, because we don't usually get to cover this position group that often. I am really, really excited about this group, Simon. Very much.
Yes, everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you to Ben for being here. We're here to continue our 2026 NFL Draft preview. Now, as Ben said, soon enough, Ben's going to start coming on here twice a month because it's going to be time to be done with the early previews because it's November now, man. These college
Yeah.
prospects are halfway through their season more so, and like all the tape you need for 2025 is kind of out there right now. So we're gonna get to the point here pretty soon where we're introducing you guys to day two prospects, where we're going back over some of the day one guys we've already discussed and reshuffling them. We're going to be getting into some team needs here pretty soon, and we'll start getting back to those the combining of the conversation. So over the offseason after the 2025 draft, that in the summer, that's when we have our like big picture draft takeaway conversations. And then here in the fall is when we have our okay, narrow in just on the players. Well, then, like the late winter into the spring, man, that's where we meld the two together. We
Yeah.
get really into the draft stuff. I make you talk about like 10 topics before we actually start talking any players or any teams. It's my favorite time of year for sure. So we'll get into all that soon. But for tonight, we have our last true, like, big pool of prospect breakdown introductions for everybody. And it's fitting in this year that we kind of fell into it last year where this was our last big one. Because what we'll do next month is we'll go back to the quarterbacks before hitting defensive backs. But here, the front seven is the strength of this class, I think. It's what's widely been regarded as the strength since like maybe July, and then especially once games started and we kind of knew where we were at with quarterback this year. Um, Not only from a like who are going to be most of the top five picks, but who are going to be most of the first round picks, your best value there. So it makes sense that we get to kind of do this last 10 to 12 player discussion on this position group. How do you feel about the front seven overall in the 2026 draft?
I am so excited about it. I'm especially excited about the linebackers. We'll get
Yeah,
into
buddy.
them, but I'm just excited that there are linebackers to talk about in, say, the top 40, 50 picks. So often there's one or two. This year there's several, and they're pretty good too. So I love that. Last year's draft felt a little bit more, even more meat and potatoes, which I loved. I loved last
Yes.
year's draft because it was, I don't mean to stereotype, there were a lot of big guys involved, right? Offensive line, defensive
Hmm.
tackles. There's still plenty of those too, but it seems like we're getting to talk more about the linebackers this year, along with some of those and some big edges too. So it's more of a mixed group, but man, I really like this front seven class. I think you're right. It does feel like this is the strength of the draft. We're not saying anything that other people haven't been saying for months, but we see it the same way. This really does feel like the strongest part of this draft this year.
And when we start getting to cover this more often together and doing some additional things on Box Score Network as the draft gets closer, we'll be more on top of these like topical conversations. So things like obviously the quarterback landscape has drastically changed since August when we talked about quarterbacks on here. I think even the offensive linemen, like a lot of our guy who we love, who we did a breakout, Caleb Lomu from Utah seems like he's kind of fallen off a little bit. Maybe he's a guy that's going to be coming back for another year of college. These conversations we'll kind of get back to and get more topical on. But to your point of relating this to last year's trench warfare, we'll say of the draft class, it was a lot of offensive linemen, and then a lot of like high ceiling, interesting archetype project edge rushers last year, right?
Yes.
Um, and obviously like a couple defensive tackles, Harmon and Nolan and Grant and but Shamar Stewart and the Texas A&M guys like okay, a lot of flash but no stats. What's going on with there? Okay, Jalen Walker. Okay, what is he really? And James Pierce from Tennessee. Okay, a guy that was hot early on but maybe cooling off a little bit. Now like it's almost it's a more rugged group. Like it's a like bring your lunch pail with you to work. And it was funny because
Yes.
when I was doing my study on these guys, I was just like, not for the most part, not one guy is really standing out super highly above anybody else. But I would like to have all of these guys on my football team. Like, there's not a guy that we're going to
Right.
talk about in this group that I'm just like, not for me. There's not even the guys that you would assume I wouldn't like because they're maybe undersized, like pass rush specialist type of players. Like you could bucket them as that.
Right.
I'm very interested in. You mentioned the off-ball linebackers. There's no off-ball linebacker here that's not taking on some contact and sticking their face in the fan.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
that doesn't exist at least at the top of this draft, right? There's no defensive tackle who can't kind of hold their ground and two gap if they need to that we're going to be talking about. So very interested to break it down and get into this conversation. So we're 6 minutes in, Ben. Let's just get to it. Um, our first guy that we're going to talk about is kind of the guy that I would say from September to November was like consensus number one on People Sports, maybe like 2 weeks into the college football season. And that's Ruben Bain out of Miami. So Ruben Bain Jr. is a junior edge rusher from Miami. He's out of Miami Central Senior High School in Miami, Florida. This guy's Miami through and through. 6'3", 270 pounds listed. Four-star recruit. 247 had him as their 15th ranked player in the state. 10th ranked edge rusher, and 71st ranked player in the country. Ben, when you're thinking about Ruben Bain, when you've watched him this season, going into the year, how do you feel about the Miami edge rusher?
I really like him. I've got him top 10 currently for me. Quick plug for this network. We already have an individual report on Ruben Bain out
There it
for the
is.
viewers if they want to go check it out. I'm not going to do the whole report tonight. Listen, I've got 12 full page reports on 12 different guys. I'm not going to go through every single part of those reports. I'm going to give excerpts, right? But there's the full report's already out on Ruben Bain. So after you're done with this and you want like, hey, I want more on Bain than what you got here, more on any of these guys, we are coming with that on the individual stuff. But we'll try to keep it brief tonight. I really love Ruben Bain. So here it goes. Strength and power. I mean, that's his whole game is built off of that. His whole game is built off his strength and his power. He goes back and forth between both defensive end spots. So I like that. He wins off the edge a lot. There is some speed involved in that. He
Mhm.
does have speed off the edge, but really it's heavy power and a mix of moves that is getting him where he wants to go. I've seen a swim move, a rip move. I've seen a shoulder dip. I like
Yes.
that. He
Hmm.
also seems to have a great sense of leverage. He seems to understand that he's not as big as some of these people, but he seems to understand the leverage thing. That's important. When the other guy's leaning on him, just simple hand swats just kind of knocks them off, and there he goes. He's fast enough to do twists and stunts, which is valuable. You know, that's not everybody can do that. You know, we see some bigger guys who can't. He can, and I'm not suggesting he's lightning fast, but he can do that. Always seems to know where the play is going. Very savvy, very good at reading the action. There's more I can say, but I really like Ruben Bain. Again, the strength and the power is what stands out, along with the mix of moves. And there is some speed. So you can check four boxes there, a couple more than others, but there's four boxes there to me. That's why I've got him top 10.
Ben, I don't know if you saw when I was geeking extra hard while you were talking because you were essentially narrating a play that was
Okay.
happening on the film room, like word for word, move for move while it was
We
happening.
lucked
So
out that time, yes. Blind squirrel, nut, broken clock twice a day.
it's only taken about 40 of these guys, but we made it here
Yes.
with Ruben Bain. And that the stars are aligning for this front seven.
Yes.
This is where we want to be in the draft. So here's Ruben Bain. Let me just break down some of these plays here real quick. So on this first play, he's down here number three at the bottom of your screen. And he is the edge rusher over the left tackle, number three. He's got the orange on the pant already at this point in the game. He's going to work his way upfield here quickly. He's going to beat that left tackle, and then he's going to get tackled Jeremiah Love of all people. He's got to work back to the middle of the field to make that play happen. So he works back, boom. There's that play recognition that Ben was talking about. Here on this next play, he is working over the left guard, number 74, and he is going to have that nice two-handed swim move that Ben was talking about. He's not getting at the quarterback here, but boom, nice two-handed. It's both a chopping of the hands, but then he's
Yeah.
also swimming over the guard. He's doing that kind of
Yes.
continuously. It's like a
Yes.
double move there, just by swapping those hands down, like Ben said, and then also swimming over to get after the quarterback. Like I say, it doesn't make it there, but it was a nice move, nice pass rush move. Next, he's back over the left tackle here, and he does that dip. That was my favorite move from him watching. And I watched 3 games. I watched Louisville and Georgia Tech from last year, and then obviously the Notre Dame game this year. He gives it just a nice dip here, and it is. Oh, he's over that left tackle there, number 3 again, and just perfect, like Ben says, in terms of he's 6'3" but he's 270. That is you are just asking to
Yeah.
out leverage your opponent on every play when you
Right.
have this. You're gonna get it from a different angle right here. So he's coming out from the side here. Let me move that a little bit for you guys. He's gonna come here at 71, boom, and he's just gonna, as soon as 71 gets his hands on him, he's dipping that left shoulder a little bit because he's not so light that as soon as those hands get on him, or as soon as he dips and maybe gives up a little momentum, that he's gonna get knocked
Yeah.
off his spot, but he's short enough that that dip is going to get him right under a tackle that's standing straight up, like 71 was here. So perfect use of leverage, perfect use of that dip move. It's so simple, it's so easy, and Bain does it super well. And then on this next play here, he's going to line up from the other side over the right guard. And he's kind of combining everything in here. So he's using that footwork with a little, he's going to use this little stutter set that you saw from the first play where he works back upfield to the running back. He uses those 2 hands to knock down the right guard's hands, and then just a little bit of dip gives him that little bit of room to get to the quarterback on this play. And then a nice celebration to the crowd behind the goalpost. We love that here. So we're going to get it from this angle here. So again, he's right here. He's going to be over the right guard. There's the orange on the pant. He's going to get in, stutter, 2 hands down, dip. And that those long he's got long arms too, man. So even at 6'3", it looks like there's a lot of space between him and the quarterback there, but he is able to reach out and grab the quarterback and bring him down. One hand, teammate comes and rally, they get the sack, big play. So everything that Ben said, I absolutely love. I absolutely agree with. Stout edge defender, good base, strong hands. He is going to hold his spot. He could two gap. He could set the edge if you ask him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
at 270, could maybe even get a little bit bigger and stronger if he needed
Right.
to.
Yep.
Teams are going to be able to line him up all over the formation, all over the line. There are plays where he's standing. There's plays where his hand's in the dirt. There can be plays where he's over the guard. There's going to be plays where he's over the tackle, Y9 all the way to the outside because he's got the speed for that too. Um, let's see. Best move is that speed to power, that good initial burst. Then he uses that 270-pound frame. However he wants to do it to push the pocket, he can certainly do it. Um, he also has a one-hand punch swipe as well as that swim move, so he can be varied with his hands. He can use either hand depending on what side of the ball he's on, and he can also use that 2 hand as we saw for a bunch of the plays. And he can set that edge, right? Just you at the end of the day, you do need your edge rusher to also be an edge defender and literally be able to stop the run,
Right.
and he can certainly do that with that frame. So my question for you, Ben, is, Bain was a guy that was like, okay, top five, top 10 going into the season. And then, Miami gets off to a tear, especially defensively. Bain was having a really good season. Some of these other guys, like the Clemson guys, and then the quarterbacks obviously sort of took a step back early in the year. And Bain was kind of at the top of the board for a while there. Some other guys that we'll talk about tonight have sort of overtaken him a little bit here of late. But can Ruben Bain be a guy that you take in the top five and can become a 14 plus sack, like a real difference making pass rusher? Can he be that guy? Can he be what we thought Abdul Carter was last year? What we thought, um, gosh, who are some of these other like, or is he gonna be sort of this like Trayvon Walker kind of first overall pick where it's like at the very least gonna be a good run defender? Maybe he develops more. But Walker was a crazy athlete. I don't quite know if Bain's gonna test to that level, or is he gonna be a Gosh, who are some of the edge rushers that I'm trying to think about right now? No, like a Will Anderson, where it's like lunch pail guy, like maybe he gets you 10 to 12 sacks a season, but like that's not what you're drafting him for. Where is he on that spectrum of edge rusher, and how high of a pick can he be in the 26 draft?
I'm honestly I'm split on that. So I will say it's very much in doubt right now. when I turn on the film and watch him, I'm like, this looks like shades of Miami defensive players from all the great decades. This
Mhm.
looks just like that. The explosion and the violence that I see. So if that's the case, if that's what he can do in the NFL, then I am looking at a top five guy. Now, where I backed off just a little bit and didn't put him in there, I've got him top 10, is well, you look back at it, the position he's playing, he's kind of at that in between weight, right? Where he does look like he's overpowering guys in college, and he is, and he gets double teamed all the time, which is always a great indicator of whether or not teams are worried about him. But can he actually do that to NFL guys? Can he do that to NFL tackles consistently? NFL double teams? Can he turn those in and cash those in for sacks? I think that's a 50-50 question right now as to whether or not he can actually turn into that dominant of a player at the NFL level. It's 50-50 for me. I really like this guy and I would take him top 10, but boy, when you're talking top 5, you really want to know, can this guy give me 10 to 15 sacks at his peak, by year 2 or 3, right? And I'm just not sure that that's what we're getting to be, if I could be honest about it.
We'll revisit this, I'm sure, plenty of times when we get closer to the draft. You and I have often agreed on, hey, however strongly you want to phrase it, don't forget about defensive tackles, right? Like don't just go for the flashy edge rusher.
Right.
But I do think when you're drafting in the top five and you're trying to build a Super Bowl winning team, it's not the defensive tackle or even defensive end that can get you 7 sacks and play good run defense. That's gonna like really set you apart.
Right.
It
Right.
is that edge rusher that is gonna get you X number of pressures in a season, X number of sacks in a season, can get you a sack on when it's 3rd and 8 and you need a stop in a playoff game. Who's gonna get after the quarterback for you? Because sacks more than anything are drive killers for an offense. So at some point, what you're feeling right now, we'll change this as we get closer to the draft because I think it's going to be really imperative for this draft class. When you are drafting top five or build like, what's that premier thing on the defensive line for you right now? What's that thing that you're going to value above all else when you're looking for a guy to play on the defensive line, especially where it's like a high stakes investment?
I do need to see probably a little bit more speed than what I'm seeing right here.
Hmm.
And again, I'm not suggesting you take a small guy just because he's fast and take him top 5. I'm not suggesting that, but you know, you do want to see that combination of strength and power and speed, which he's got, but not maybe quite enough speed. His first step, for instance, is pretty slow, actually. Now,
Hmm.
he explodes once he gets going,
Hmm.
but he's usually out of, say, the 10 guys on the line, he's usually guy number 8 or 9 actually getting started. Well, usually out of our sack masters, usually they've got a lightning first step,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
To go along with all the explosion and violence that comes in steps 2 and 3. So I think that holds me back just a little bit. But I will say, this year's draft, I mean, I could see myself taking 8 or 10 different guys number one overall. I'm not sure that there is a, kind of lock it down top 3, top 5 like we often have. So I could be talked into taking them top 5, but typically what you're talking about, I do need to see probably a little bit more speed right out the gate to take them type that top 5.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's move around here a little bit. Usually when we do these, we kind of stick within position groups, right? So like when
Yes.
we have done the pass catchers, we'll do all the receivers and then we'll get to the other positions. We're gonna move to defensive tackle here. Let's talk about Peter Woods out of Clemson. This was the guy that going into the year was the like
Mm.
consensus first overall number one on all the big boards. As Ben mentioned, let me do another little plug over here on box score.
Yes.
We are box score right now, and hopefully through draft season is going to be the NFL draft hub for the pods here at Box Score. So anybody that's related to any of our podcasts, any of our YouTube stuff, whenever draft content is going up, it's going to go up on there. We'll have reaction videos, we do other stuff, but for the most part, this is where your draft hub is going to be. I have a new series that got started a couple of weeks ago called Views from the Press Box, and I did my first film room on Peter Woods out of Clemson. So go check that out. Ben mentioned it. Ruben Bain breakdown from Pro Football Enterprises. Ben, Austin, Shane. That's up there. You can also see Peter Wood's film room from me on Box Score. So Peter Woods out of Clemson, junior defensive tackle, listed at 6'3", 310 pounds, four-star recruit out of high school from Greensboro, Alabama, attended Thompson High School, where he won four straight state titles.
Hmm.
247 had him as their sixth overall player in the state, eighth on the defensive line, and 59th overall in the country. Ben, your Peter Woods thoughts. How do you feel about the defense tackle from Clemson?
Here, I'm going to say this a lot tonight. Okay, here's another guy that I really like. Okay, I really like Peter Woods. Here's a small excerpt. I don't. You've got your film study out yet? Everybody, go check that out. We don't yet have our individual report on Peter Woods out that comes from would come from me and Austin and Shane, but we will at some point. We'll have that out too. So this is just an excerpt from all the notes here. This is a large, very, very strong man. That was what immediately jumped out. The largeness and the strength. Really like that. Looks to be an often immovable object, is what I often thought about him. Strong upper body, strong arms, strong against double teams, strength and power. That's what really stood out to me. He has more than that, but that's the thing that stood out the most. Um, the fact that offenses will have to invest so much time accounting for him. He can work against the run. He can get to the quarterback for pressures. You have to constantly account for this guy, and I'll get more into detail on that in our conversation. But you cannot leave this guy unaccounted for. He is an omnipresent, every play, pushing on the line kind of a guy, and it's tremendous. That strength is tremendous. Now, I will say, just on the negative side, and I've got him top 10, but not top five right now. Um, the best way to attack this guy, not the only way, but the best way to attack this guy seems to be misdirection, flow of play. That is kind of get all his weight, his momentum, his power moving in one direction, and then you run the other direction. That really he does not seem to be able to recover from that largely. I'm not saying never, but largely you get all of that strength and mass going one direction. I saw that a lot. It's hard for him to get moving and get back in the play the other way. So it's almost like it's not like giving up, but it's almost like, hey, since we can't stop him from going where he wants to go, let's just get him moving in that direction. We'll misdirect it and we'll run the play back in behind him. But this guy has to be accounted for every play. So that's the biggest reason that I really do like him. And again, I've got a lot more we can get into, but I love Peter Woods. Got him top 10 right now.
Yeah, yes, I definitely agree with that. I do think and I will get to the film. I do think the short area quickness is very good, but yeah, for especially at the end for the NFL game, right? Like how wide they play those things, those motions, you can take them out of the game. And when conditioning is such a factor, and depending on what team he were to go to, if he plays, let's just say as a rookie, he's only playing like 50% of snaps. This isn't going to be like a Jalen Carter level game wrecker, right? And when I, for a couple months there, was seeing a defensive tackle number one on everyone's board, Jalen Carter is the name that pops to mind. And he's not quite there, but I think he's going to be a very, very effective and useful player and have really high level flashes right away. And depending on what team he goes to and what scheme he's put in, can really show those more frequently. So let's get into some of these plays here. I'm actually going to start with a couple plays that show some of those negatives that you're talking about. But I want to use those to kind of highlight what kind of player he is. And again, you're going to get a more detailed breakdown of this in the film room, so go check that out. But I'm going to show you a lot of those same plays here. So here's going to start over the left tackle, and he's going to show a nice stutter and swim actually, where he pushed that guy out of the way. But he does get chipped pretty easily by the back there. So that play strength is, while it's good, it's not elite. Here's some of that misdirection that Ben's talking about. This running back from LSU gets to the second level, and Woods is going back and forth with this guard who you'll see a lot of clips of this LSU game when they're in a phone booth with this guy. This lineman is no match for Peter Woods. Okay, but here out in
Right.
space, when they are doing that thing Ben's talking about, moving side to side, 56 can stay in front of them. So they have a nice little battle here right at the front. Woods gets a step, offensive lineman recovers, And this running back goes left, and here's Peter Woods. He's poking his head out. They're playing a little game of peekaboo here. And then he goes right, and then Peter Woods comes back to it. And then he's kind of able to get in at the end of the play. He's not able to truly, while on the move, push the lineman out of the way and or beat him to the fully to the spot. If you play basketball like for a basketball drill, like 1-on-1 defense, full court, like not using your hand, like he can't fully get to the spot and turn the lineman or the running back out of his way, but he's in that play the whole way. So again, not dynamic athlete, but still very good. And there's some really interesting things that we're gonna get to the next parts. I do really like his awareness. I think this is his superpower, right? His awareness in the game. So here he is, number 11. He's over the left guard against Texas, and he immediately knows this is a screen. He snuffs this out right away. He does not rush. He gets out. Boom. He actually does get beat here. He actually gets put on his butt, which isn't great, but he immediately snuffs out that that's a screenplay. This next play here, he is going to be over the right tackle, and he's left unblocked. The run goes the opposite way. But instead of just bull rushing with his head down, he is patient. He sets his edge, and he gets rewarded because this kind of crack block comes over from the tight end, and he's able to one step avoid it, and he is able to bring the running back down on the play. Next up, he is going to be lined up over the right guard again. So here's that same guy, 56, and he's going to quickly penetrate the A gap. This is where I think he's at his best. He could be asked to do a lot of things. He could be a two gapper. He could be kind of a 3-4 defense, 4-eye, 5 tech kind of player. You could put him at the nose, maybe if you even really wanted to. But he's going to be best in a 4 down front where he is asked to one gap penetrate. That combination of that quick first step and strength, he'd be really, really good at this. So this is where he's going to make his money. He gets that step on 56 inside, and the running back doesn't really fully bounce out. If the running back bounces outside of 4 here, Woods probably can't get back in on the play. But he doesn't. He gets on the inside of 4. He gets slowed down, and Woods is on the play. All right, he makes it to that spot. So he's able to one gap penetrate inside, and he's able to break outside a little bit here. Here we're gonna shoot this gap here between the tackle and guard, and he's just too fast for the tackle, too strong for that guard to hold him off on that kind of just like square be in the way block. So that play, he's just too big, too strong, too fast. He gets after the quarterback. Here, just 2 plays where he throws 56 around, man. He just throws him out of his way there, has been mentioned. And then again, later play, I promise not the same thing. 2 hands off 56, throws him out of the way. Just when he wants to, man, and he doesn't have to, he's not trying to go too far. He's staying in his lane. He's like, all right, forget this. I'm just going to throw this guy out of my face. 56, nice swim move, kind of push, gets a little push there. Doesn't fully get after the quarterback, but he does have show a little bit of speed and agility there. Here, he's a hustle guy, man. He is. He gets all the way outside of the play. Let me back this up a little bit just so everybody can see again. So watch where this arrow is. This is where Peter Woods is going to start. This left defensive tackle inside of the hash, and he's going to get in on the play and make this tackle outside the numbers. Again, this is 6'3", 310, and he catches that guy out there. Again, he's going to be here over the right guard. He's going to get out on this screen pass, and he's running. He's not going to be the difference maker on the play, but he gets out there and he is involved. And then one of my favorite plays here, nice little double move on this offensive tackle yet again. Uh, Quarterback throws a pick. Peter Woods immediately, boom, turns around. He's in blocking mode, baby. Let's get this touchdown. And he's just running after dudes. So really good hustle, really good short area quickness, really good awareness and strength. If he's going to be a one gap penetrator and they're going to say, hey, man, let's say like the Bills, this would be great for the Bills right now, right? Not that he's going to make that far, but one gap, boom, shoot the gap, penetrate, flush that running back out, flush that quarterback out, and let some edge rushers really set the edge and protect from any big plays. Or hey, you might get a quick TFL, you might get a quick sack out of this. I think that's where he's going to be at his best. That combination of quick first step and just the mass and strength on him, but then that awareness for hey, if the play goes the other way, if they're not too far away, like Ben said, I can still make that play. Um, but there are, I wouldn't even say warts. There's just limitations to who he is right now. But I don't know if I'd want to go the other way and say, hey, can you get down to 290, be a little bit lighter and faster? Because I love the
Right.
strength that he's at because he's so smart, because he's so aware. So not the defensive tackle that was touted as the number one guy and should maybe be a top 5 pick. Although at the end of the day, if someone takes him at 4 instead of 8, am I gonna kill them in my draft grades? No, that's not gonna happen. But um, this isn't a like, hey, no matter what else is on your team, go get this because this is a like 8, 9, 10 sack a year defensive tackle. This is a like very good player, is going to be a very useful player. But again, similar to Bane, like this might not be the world changing guy on your defensive line.
Yeah, and you mentioned this the short area quickness. Um, Perfectly aligns with what I've got here. Will make plays at times outside the box or at second level. Um, his athletic skills are good enough for him to go hunting even as plays stretch out. He's got that. Unusually quick feet for a guy his size. Almost reminds you, maybe in an alternate universe, he could have been somebody's left tackle. With that size and quick feet, that's a great imagery of what he's capable of. Um, so, that quickness, again, it's not long speed, it's not speed off the edge. It's not always even sack level speed once he crashes through the line, but that short area quickness, the quick feet, and the hustle that's combined with it, you're absolutely right. For a guy his size, it's beautiful. The one thing I have seen on the 25 tape is, and again, this leads back into what I was talking about with some of the misdirection. And once you get him going one direction, I don't mean sideline to sideline. I mean once you get him kind of going upfield after the
Hmm.
quarterback, it's hard for him
Yeah.
to reverse field and curl back around. Um, he does have a tendency to overrun plays. Now, that being said, that was true of several Clemson guys this year.
Hmm.
You could see where even by mid-season they had to start trying to adjust that a little bit because teams were using that against them. So it's not that he always does that, but there are plenty of examples where he's overrunning, overstriding things, and it's almost like he's got a wall of players now between him and where the play has now gone. So I really like this guy. This guy can come play for me anytime. And I top 10 like him. Is how good I like that guy.
And like I said, it depends. It depends how you want to use him. Now, I do think he's scheme flexible, but I think you're gonna get a different level of player depending on what you ask him to do. I think you could get him in a 3-4 defense and say, hey, be a 4 out of 5 tech and be stout against the run and occasionally,
Yeah.
get after the passer. And he could do that, right? He could walk in and if you play defense like the Steelers, for example, he could do that, right? He could do that sort of thing. I think you could get him in a 4-3 defense and put him as a true defensive tackle. And again, say, hey, two gap, defend the run, and you'll get your sacks on like coverage sacks, or if the quarterback tries to come out, just use that strength, keep them there, and that's your game. I think you would do that great. I actually think from the 2024 tape, that was where my initial inkling was taking me. Like I was like, oh, this is a two gapper. This is a very good two gapper. Um, but then on the 25 tape, I think he does look a little more athletic. I think the first
Yeah.
play that I showed, let me show it again now. I said I wasn't gonna do the full film breakdown. I basically just did the full film room for you guys tonight. But this play here, where he gets chipped by that running back, that's not happening in 2025. Now, maybe there's a Clemson fan out there that's like, it did happen. I saw it in week 8. Okay, fine. I
Uh,
didn't see it. But that wasn't the standard for that's not the standard for the way he moves and he plays now. Um, which I think is good for two reasons. One is I think he's just more athletic, he's faster, he's a little trimmer. Um, but also it shows me, hey, if you want that top 5 draft pick ceiling of being a good pass rusher, he has to show that quickness to be a one gap penetrator, and that's what he was showing in more of the film that I was watching from this year. So I think you can have him do a bunch of different things, but he's not so scheme versatile that he's going to be like an all pro player no matter what you do with him. Like you're going to get different levels, different outcomes out of him, probably based on what you ask him, which is the case for most guys. But when you're talking about a top 5 guy, you usually want him to be a like, no matter who takes him or what you ask him to do, who you are, where you're from, whatever, blah blah blah. He's going to be an all pro. Not necessarily the case with Peter Woods, which goes for again 95% of draft prospects.
Agreed. And I'll take that scheme flexible thing in a different direction and say he's down flexible. So on say first down, I would love to just plug him in at more the defensive end category. Let him work off of that. Come to passing downs, 3rd and 8s. I'd love to just switch him over to defensive tackle and let him work from the inside.
Yep.
So I do think he's largely scheme flexible, and I do think he's down flexible too. And can work very well from all of those. Yes.
And again, the hustle plays suggest a
Yeah.
level of conditioning that as he just gets
Right.
further into the league and is taking care of his body at an NFL level, like
Yes.
it's going to be a guy that can play more downs and do that sort of thing.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the next guy here. And I'm really curious to see how you feel about this guy, David Bailey out of Texas Tech, senior edge rusher, the transfer from Stanford, at 6'3", 250 pounds. He was a four-star recruit coming out of Mater Dei High School in Santa Ana, California. Maybe that's Mater D. Maybe I don't know enough stuff. But anyways, 247 had him as their second-ranked player in the state, third-ranked edge rusher, and 34th ranked player in the nation. Ben, how do you feel about one David Bailey? I'm going the other way here in terms of the size profile. How do you feel about David Bailey?
Yeah. I'm not even going to read off my notes here. I'm just gonna because it's mine and your show. And again, we've got a David Bailey report coming up where we go
Heck yeah.
full in. But David Bailey, I love him. I've got him somewhere in the second half of the first round. I really like this guy. Okay. You may even have him higher than that, and that's fine. Again, this is a draft to me, and I've always been preaching this, but this year especially, this is a draft to me where you could see guys move up or down a lot based on just what a team needs. I don't know that there's an outstanding group of guys that are top 5 locks, top 10 locks, and top 15 locks in this draft. I think there's a lot of fluidity here based on what you're needing and how much you like what you saw and what you wanted to pick and choose out of what we saw from some of these guys this year, right? So David Bailey, I've got a middle to late first round. This guy is explosive and fast off the edge. He is a quarterback headhunter. He is a mercenary. He is a hired gun, quite literally for Texas Tech. They're paying him a lot of money to come in and go chase down quarterbacks. All right, that is his superpower. He is very, very good at this. All right, he has a number of moves that he uses. He is strong. But his main thing is that speed and that explosiveness. So if you're looking at 4 different boxes to check for David Bailey, that's it right there. He's got some moves and he's got some strength. Both of those are present, but the really important things there are the explosiveness and the speed. Speed off the edge. You almost can't stop him from getting around the edge. You just almost can't do it. And boy, that's important right there, right? So how badly do you need that? If you're sitting at number 8 and you need it,
Hmm.
you go get him. I mean, go get the guy. The one thing I will say that dragged him back to the latter half of the first round for me, I don't yet see him being good at a lot of other stuff. I'm not saying he can't learn. I'm just saying it didn't show up on film at Texas Tech. I really feel like, and again, it, it felt like at Texas Tech, they literally told him, get after the quarterback. Just do that, you
Yeah.
know? So I feel like I'm sure he's athletic and smart enough to go do other things. At the moment, though, that coming off the edge to get the quarterback is the standout thing. The run defense is okay. There's lots of plays where he's not in the mix at all or he gets blocked, and other plays where he blows it up, because he's fast enough, he reads the screen or whatever, right? So that's what's pulling it back. I don't know that I can put him on the field on every down. You know, goal lines, he's got to come off. Third and shorts, he's
Hmm.
got to come off. First downs, depending on who the team is at the NFL level, I may have to take him off the field. It just depends on the game plan. So that's what's going to drag him a little bit for me. But man, that ability to get off the edge, and again, I've got a whole page full of notes here on what he can and can't do. But that speed off the edge, that's what I really, really love about this guy. And again, it's strength too, strength and moves. He's not just speed guy. Because James Pierce playing pretty good this year, but last year I looked at him as being only a speed guy. I was like,
Right.
dang it, can he do anything? This is David Bailey's got the speed, but he's got the strength and moves too that really make
Yes.
him an edge rusher. That's what this guy is. Bring him in to do that. I love it.
Ben, I love David Bailey. Um, Let me. I'm gonna get myself too excited. Let's jump right into the film, everybody. Let's get here. So, these first few plays are gonna highlight that athleticism that Ben's talking about here. So this first play, he's the left defensive end. He's gonna be the left defensive end in most of these plays, and the quarterback's trying to bait him into making a decision. And Bailey is just perfectly comfortable with being halfway between the wide receiver that motioned over and the quarterback on this
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
And he knows,
Yes.
hey, whatever you do, man, I'm going to make the play here. Um, the quarterback wants him to come after him. He wants him to go play the receiver. Quarterback does get a small lane here, but by that time, there's another defender there. The quarterback only gets a few yards. All right. So Bailey is just very comfortable with his level of athleticism. Here, he's going to be lined up over on the bottom of your screen or at the top of your screen over the right tackle. And this play is going to go the opposite direction. And he's going to get all the way across the field and make this tackle from behind. Boom. So going from just inside the opposite hash to the numbers on the other side. And he's going to make this tackle before anybody else gets there on that running back. So I love that. Here, same thing. He's lined up over this right tackle. This is one of my favorite plays that I'm going to have for you this entire night. We're in the red zone. We're at the 20-yard line. He is going to backpedal beautifully. He's covering the running back out of the backfield here. He's going to get into the middle of the end zone. And then he's going to look back. The quarterback takes off with the ball from the 25-yard line. Bailey sprints. He takes this running back with him. This running back tries to block him. He just carries him with him in one arm pretty much. He sprints to that pylon. Boom! Knocks that quarterback on his butt. Saves the play. I don't know what happened after that play, honestly. The NC State might have gotten a touchdown, but it doesn't matter. David Bailey made a heck of a play here. This play's a little awkward based on how it got chopped up, but here's Bailey here over the right tackle, number 23. We're going to have a big, long, like 95-yard touchdown run by the running back. But watch Bailey take off, man. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. He's hunting him. He's hunting him. He's trying to catch him. He's not going to get there. I mean, again, 95 yards, 250 pounds. That's a lot to do. But man, he passed so many of his teammates on that play. He passed so many smaller, faster guys just with sheer hustle. Here he is over the right tackle, again, left defensive end. And we're going to have a nice power move here. So here's what Ben's talking about. He's not all speed, just two hands, push. You saw that right tackle's head knock back. That's
Yeah.
the power that Bailey has in his hand. So I love that. Here, same thing. He's down here. Again, this is going to be more of a long arm. So he's going to get one hand on that tackle and he's going to put him all the way in the pocket till he gets to the quarterback. We're going to see it from a different angle here. One long arm with the right arm. Boom. Push back, push back, push back. Get after the quarterback. The hustle is relentless. This isn't just speed like I got to win in 2.5 seconds or I'm just not going to make it. This is relentless speed after the quarterback. And here we're gonna get there in a slightly different way. Boom, two hands, push back, knock your hands off of me, and just get after the quarterback. So there's real pop, there's real power, just like Ben talked about, but there's speed and hustle behind it as well. Um, a little bit like when we talked about Antonio Williams last time, where sometimes this is where the human element of this process, the scouting stuff, is really interesting because I watched Bane and I watched Falk, who we'll talk about soon, and I watched TJ Parker. I think I even watched Mateo Uiagalelei before I got to Bailey. And it's just a lot of like long, strong guys who defend the run and might have a dip move, might have a swim.
Right.
And then I turn on the David Bailey tape and I'm like, oh man, I just got like struck by lightning.
Yes.
So that helps. That jolts you awake when it's 12:30 in the middle of the night and you're trying to do this stuff. Um, But I love, like you said, I love that he's fast. He's 6'3", 250. That's normally not going to appeal to me, but there's real power and juice behind this. I
Hmm.
agree with you on the like goal line. Like at some point, like he's just small. Now, if he becomes a menace in terms of like, hey, my timing, my step, and my like IQ and awareness are just so elite that you don't want to take me off the field because I'm just going to shoot a gap, and even though I'm going to be small, but like if you got 13 personnel in front of you, if you got another 6'3", 250-pound tight end who just has to block for half a yard, yeah, that's not Bailey's game. That's not where he's going to be. I do think he can be it on rundowns though. I do think for first down, like I want this guy here because I don't want an 8-yard run. I don't think I'm giving up an 8-yard run. Maybe I'll give up a 4-yard run with Bailey, but I'm not giving up an 8-yard run because he's going to chase that guy down, right? So that's what I want to see. I want to see where he goes. Obviously, I want to see. Okay, is someone going to try to make him a 4-3 end? Is someone going to try to make him a 3-4 outside linebacker? Is someone going to try and make him like a wide nine versus a right over the tackle? That alignment stuff is going to be so interesting to kind of follow for him. But man, if he gets pushed into the back half of the first round and a good team just gets like a real edge rusher, uh, it's gonna be menacing come playoff time because this is a guy that when you talk about the stuff we talked about before, who can get those 14 sacks? I think Bailey can get 14 sacks in a season. Maybe he's not, and so this is where it's gonna be that like, what side do you go on? But like I would take Bailey, I think top 10. Now, it's interesting. This is where that difference between us with how we do this comes from. You watch the film, but you also watch live college football. So you're in on like, hey, what's Texas Tech doing? And I think it's so interesting when you pay a guy big money, especially in college, what do you want him to do? Hey, go get after the quarterback. Again, maybe that's a little seed for like what our team's really valuing, right? We know edge rusher, get after the quarterback, high value stuff. So to your point of like, hey, he's not always running back into the play on certain things, or hey, it looks like he's really just in to get the quarterback. When you pay a guy however much money they're paying him, and they're like, we need to make a difference, we're trying to win the college football playoff, just go get the quarterback. That's all I need you to do. Versus when he's at Stanford, he's got to do everything right for Stanford. Hey man, can you set the edge? Can you get after the quarterback? Can you come back get this running back? Hey man, that guy just broke a 50-yard run. Can you chase him down for? You're our best player. Go do everything. So that mindset of what he's going to be asked to do, who's going to take him, what do they need, I think is going to be a big difference. But I really like the way he's built. That 6'3", 250 is like stout and strong. It's like it's Ruben Bain like Junior almost, right? Where he's gonna have leverage because of that extra speed that he has. So I really like Bailey. I would take him in the top 10. Again, like you said, depends on your team, what your makeup is, what you have. But I think the talent is definitely there for top 10.
The talent is there. I I do wonder about with guys like him. To me, out of all the guys I've watched this year, he's the most one-trick pony so far. And that one trick is really good. It's getting after the quarterback. But you know, I got to watch 4 games of him in 25. He gets swallowed up in the run game a lot. I mean, there's a lot of plays where the bigger guys just swallow him up. I mean,
Mm,
he can't even get through traffic. He gets blocked. He can't even get his speed going. They do not run the ball at him on purpose, but they don't avoid him. They never avoid
hmm
running the football at him. You see that with other guys we're going to talk about tonight, where they always run the ball away from this guy. With
hmm
Bailey, they run right at him all the time. And then again, there's a lot of plays where he seems locked in on the quarterback, and if his path takes him to where that running back is going, he'll chase down the running back. But in a lot of plays, if the running back scoots straight up field, say between the tackles, Bailey's not in that play. That's over. He's not going to hunt that down at all. And then he rarely. I think you had one play where he dropped back into pass coverage in the end zone.
hmm
That's pretty rare for him. They
Yeah.
do not ask him to drop back in pass coverage. So my worry for guys like him is when teams start asking him to do more at the NFL level, again, can he still be explosive? Or does he start to get lost in the shuffle? We'll see that with TJ Parker, who we'll talk about later tonight from Clemson, and a
hmm
guy who we won't talk about tonight, Deni Dennis Sutton from Penn State.
hmm
Both guys, 24 tape is explosive. It is David Bailey brilliant. The 25 tape is not. And the biggest reason is they've been asked to do a whole new set of things. And now all of a
Right.
sudden they have 3 jobs instead of one. Bailey's been asked to
hmm
do one job at Texas Tech.
hmm
And yes, the strength and athleticism is there, but he doesn't read plays particularly well. A lot of plays he just doesn't see it. He doesn't seem to have that. So when he's asked to also set the edge, play the run, when he's asked to drop back in pass coverage consistently, now he's a three-dimensional player. I still wonder. I know he can get off the edge, but is he still going to be that same player who I want on the field for 3 downs? Right now, the answer is no. And that's why I've got him second half of the first round. But again, if you think, hey, he can do all these things, and maybe he can, then he goes right up into the top 10. That's no doubt about that.
Really fun player there. Let's get to another really fun player who is the new king atop the mountain, and that is Arvell Reese out of Ohio State. He's a junior linebacker, 6'4", 240. He looks to be one of this year's off-ball linebackers that can line up at edge. Reese is from Cleveland, Ohio, Glenville High School, four-star recruit, fifth ranked player in the state, 18th ranked linebacker in the country. Um, and Ben, like I said, this guy is kind of atop everything now. He's had a really good year, productive year, highlight level year. Dane Brugler just put him at his new number one in his updated top 50. What are your thoughts on Arvel Reese?
I'm going to brag on him and drool over him for a minute here, okay? Because I love him.
Do it. Go
And
for
then
it.
I'm going to mention a weakness or two, okay? Because it's all there. Strong and fast. Good speed. It's not elite top end speed, but there's plenty of speed to work with here, okay? Strong and fast. Plays edge, plays middle linebacker. Even works as a stand up defensive tackle on passing down. So dot, dot, dot. Defensive tackle, edge, middle linebacker. Do all that. Really prefers to play standing up. Just didn't see a lot of film of him with a hand on the
Hmm.
ground, but I think he can. Borderline elite run defender, especially from the
Yes.
middle linebacker spot. I don't have him as an elite guy. I'll get to that in a second. But borderline elite run defender, especially from middle linebacker. There's a lot of tape of him shedding good blocks and tackling ball carriers. I mean, a lot. There's a lot of tape of him reading run and blowing the play up. I mean, goodness gracious. When he reads it, shut it down. I mean, negative yards on a running play, right? It's tremendous. Of him reading screens and crushing those screens. He can get out there to the screens, read them, and blow them up a lot. Not once, not twice, a lot. He gets out with, there's lots of edges who cannot do that. He can. There's a lot of tape of him setting a hard edge and still tackling a ball carrier. That's not easy to do. There's a lot of guys. And listen, if aside from the David Baileys of the world, and even they should be able to, if you can't set an edge, you probably shouldn't be an edge
Right.
in the NFL. Everybody can do that. What is rare to do is set the edge and still make the play on the guy
Hmm.
who's carrying the
Hmm.
football. He does it a lot.
Hmm.
He's really good at that. Very strong. Um, let's see. He hits hard. He is so good against the run. There's even a handful of tape of him grabbing a tackle or a tight end and just literally with his arm rip, move them out of the way, rip. It's amazing. I love it. Now, having said that, because the strength is there, he has fantastic strength. There is a fair amount of tape, not a little, a fair amount of him getting blocked second level by tight ends, tackles, and guards. It's there. And it makes him mad. You can literally see him getting mad when it happens. He's like, I'm strong. This is not supposed to be It does happen. Not as much as he's taking care of the other guys. It is on
Hmm.
tape, though, but tremendously strong for his size. Now, I love this guy. Where I am concerned about him, and I didn't mention him getting to the quarterback. He can get to the quarterback. They just don't ask him to do it a lot. I wish they would. I think he could do it even better than he does it. I legit think this could be a guy who can get a lot of pressure off the edge. I think he's a liability in pass coverage. I've watched him. Um, I think he's not a liability at the college level, but he would be at the NFL level. He just does not have the hip flexibility. He does not have the ability to hang. He can stay with a guy, but he's not guarding them. All right. They are open even when he's standing beside them. He has no ball skills when he's guarding a guy. All right. He can bat balls down when he's playing a zone. He can't carry routes upfield consistently. Again, he can run with a guy because he's athletic enough, but these guys are open even though they're standing right next to him. He just doesn't have
Hmm.
any coverage skills, and NFL offensive coordinators are going to eat that up. So, what I would love to do with him, and again, I've got him top 20. Some people are going to draft him top five. I'm totally fine with that. 100% fine with that. Okay. I really love Arvell Reese. What I would love to do with him is play him middle linebacker on the early downs, where he can guard the short, really short area zones and come up and smother the run. And then on passing downs, I'd love to move him over into edge rusher, where he can use that athleticism to burst the screens and to get pressure on the quarterback. I think that's the best way to use him. I love this guy. He is tremendous. If you want to draft him number one overall, I have no problem with it. But again, I just don't think you can sit him back there at linebacker in space at the NFL level in pass coverage, I think he will get eaten up. But everything else is beautiful. It is gorgeous. It is. I can't say enough good about it. Love Arvell Reese.
Do you think then? I'll go ahead and get into the big picture conversation because you knew I was going to ask that, so we might as well continue it here. Do you think then there is a world as he gets into the NFL system, a little bit like the Micah Parsons, and I don't want to compare every off-ball linebacker that can be an edge rusher to Micah Parsons, but
Right.
just that trajectory of year one, that's kind of the path he follows, and then as he just gets bigger and stronger, or like by year two, is he just a full-time edge? Like if he gets to that 250 and he proves he can be stout enough against the run, would you rather just have him on the edge on first down and eliminate that? Okay, on because what if they pass on first down? You know,
Right.
what if they carry the
Right.
tight end up the seam on first down
Yeah.
to continuously attack him? Like you're saying, even if you're just going to put him at edge rusher on passing downs, anyways, at some point, would you want to see that? And then are you also kind of getting your value in terms of a top five potential pick just by at some point in the first 2 years making him a full-time edge? Would you rather see that, or is it that flexibility that makes him so unique for you to be a high pick? Where are you at on that?
I did not think about that. So thank you for asking that. All right. That's really good. I did not actually consider that. Making him a full-time defensive end edge, it's really defensive end he would play. A little less edge, more defensive end. That might be the way to go because I really am genuinely, and he's athletic enough to
Yes.
go anywhere on
Hmm.
the football field. It's not the athleticism. It's just he doesn't have anything remotely similar to what a safety or a cornerback would
Hmm.
have in terms of changing directions quickly to mirror a guy. The instincts, he has none of that.
Right.
So plugging him in at edge might be the best way to go because he still would blow up the runs, he would blow up the screens, and on passing downs, he would get after the quarterback and do all three things very well. At Ohio State, the luxury has been he's played a lot of middle linebacker, and I mean a lot. They don't put him at edge that much, but it's very shallow. So it's almost like he's
Hmm.
playing 3 yards back from the line of scrimmage. He's blowing up the run, and he is intelligent enough. If a guy's trying to nestle down into a hole in his zone, he'll magnetize to that. He's not going to let that crap happen. But
Yeah.
anything moving, he just can't handle that. And he will bat balls down, all of that. But that's like a shallow 3 yard zone. The
Hmm.
reason they can do that is they've got Caleb Downs playing at like 10 and 12 yard depth right over the top of him. And Caleb Downs is eating up everything in that box right there, right?
Yep.
So that's what's happening, and that's why they get by with that. And of course, you got Sonny Styles, we'll talk about later, eating things up off the edge
Mm.
too, and doing all kinds of Sonny
Mm.
Styles things. So I actually think that makes a lot of sense. Perhaps not that you could never play him at linebacker again, but perhaps edge might be the way to go full time for him.
Yeah, he plays in pass coverage like he's a linebacker. He doesn't do it like this unicorn where it's
Right.
like he looks like a natural coverage guy all the time, but then he also looks like a natural buck linebacker stopping the run, but also a natural again, these guys in the strap, like it's not these unicorn things. I ask you that question because I thought about this with Jalen Walker a lot last year, where to
Okay.
me that versatility that we thought he was going to have was his superpower. So for me, I think I had him at like 8 on my board because
Hmm.
in my head I was saying similar to what you were saying, like early downs, like more linebacker and then pass rush specialist. I wanted um, Walker specifically in a 4-3 as an outside linebacker as like a Frankie Louvu. Like on any given play, you could walk him down to the line and let him rush, or you could let him be off ball and be a linebacker, play in a hook zone. You could let him blitz the B gap sort of thing, or mug up the middle of the line of scrimmage. But you could always put him in that four. That's why I wanted him in specifically 4-3 outside linebacker. I thought that was perfect. To me, that value that he could generate from that made him a top 10 player. But then when it was like we got closer to the draft and it was, hey, the team that is going to take him in the first round is going to view him as a full-time edge rusher. That's where he went down for me. Arvell Reese, I think I really like him as a linebacker, but I think if I'm gonna take him top five, I do want that developmental plan to mimic the Parsons and just be like, hey, at some I'm gonna get the best version of you as an edge rusher because that run stopping, that edge setting is there. It's not a matter of can I make you a good enough run defender to give you the pass rush reps? It's hey, are you just gonna hold up at that point? And like if you're doing when you're doing that full time, because like you said, it's not he's predominantly off ball. But if you're predominantly off ball and that's what you're gonna be in the NFL, and you're not an excellent pass coverage player, um, where am I gonna draft you then, right? If someone's taking top five, I don't think it's gonna be strictly to be an off ball linebacker, and I think eventually they're gonna want to play edge. And the weird thing with him playing edge is at 240, man, like he looks 240, like he looks pretty thin. And Parsons did too coming out. And even now, Parsons like doesn't look like the biggest guy. You wouldn't think that Parsons is only or for 250, 255, whatever he might be now. You wouldn't think he's one of the
Right.
strongest dudes in the league. And I think Reese can follow that too. So again, he's a junior. So as he 3 years from now, especially on again an NFL program, this guy could be 255 and look like a total monster. All right, so that was our conversation, but I have the plays here, and I love the plays. There was one pass coverage play, but which is fun and good, but I think it's exactly the things that you say are good about him in pass coverage. So let's
Yeah, and to
get
be
to it
clear,
here.
you've said it.
Go
He
ahead.
can
Go
go
ahead.
anywhere on the field. He's just not exactly guarding people when he does.
Exactly. Yeah, he looks like a good pass coverage linebacker, but those guys can get picked on in today's NFL. Um, here's that competitive edge you were talking about, Ben. On this play, there's a center. Texas center comes up and is getting to the second level, and Reese sees him in his sights, and he thinks, "Oh, you think you can? I might moonlight at edge, buddy, but you think you can just come out here and take me down, pick me off?" No shot. Stands up the center. And the center has like 5 yards of momentum and just stands him up. Again, this isn't even a play where Reese like gets the tackle or even knocks the center down or anything. But it was a challenge. It was an eye to eye challenge, and Reese took him on and just stood him straight up. So that was just fun. I like that. Here he is.
Hmm.
He's actually going to put his face in the fan against the center again. This is the one from Wisconsin. Um, he's going to play the run. He's going to find the gaps here, and this time he's going to engage the center, boom, and tackle the running back down. You'll like that. This next play, fortune favors the brave. All right, and because he's willing to put his face in the fan, this time he just gets an open gap and he just whoever the Texas running back is, just boom, lifts him in the air, man. Just takes him freaking out. I love this. Uh, this next play, zone spy. I don't know if he's playing zone. I don't know if he's QB spy on the specific play, but that's essentially the role he's playing. Again, he's just right here, middle linebacker. Um, quarterback's holding the ball. Quarterback's holding the ball. Reese just finds a little gap, waits his turn, takes him down, gets the sack before the quarterback even knows what's happening. Reese's superpower is his closing speed. Okay, when he decides he's getting somewhere, he gets there faster than
Right.
anybody can even
Yes.
recognize what's happening. Um, here's my fun pass coverage rep. All right, there's good technique here. All right, there's athleticism, there's technique. You can see it.
Hmm.
Again, he's just playing a little zone here off the edge, but he's doing it from edge, which is interesting too. So it's giving you that proof of concept of if someone wants to play him at edge, it could be like a 4-3
Right.
or 3-4, and he can drop back into the flat or something like that and be pretty effective.
Yes.
So he's going to backpedal here, and what you can't really see from this angle is he's doing a good job. He backpedals with this original receiver here, and he kind of notes that okay, he's going over the middle, so I'm mentally passing him off, and okay, now I see this guy breaking into my zone, and he gets over there and he makes the tackle as soon as the catch is made. He actually stops him, and that was a third down. So he stopped him for a fourth down on that play. So again, it's not like he got a pick six. It's not like he broke up the ball, but he just drops. It's clean, and he's able to make the tackle. Um, teach tape technique here, guys. This is he's lined up over the boom. This is where he gets to just kind of go have some fun here. So he's mugging up this gap right here. He's in the right here. He's gonna mug up this gap over the left guard. This is what Ben was talking about, where he just rips a guy out of his way. Boom. Two hands, just like again, mano y mano, pushes the guy out of the way. One arm pushes this. I mean, that's a real dude. That's like I don't know the Texas right guard right now, but that guy is like 6'5", 300 pounds. Takes one arm, pushes him out of his way, and then can also go chase down Arch here. Okay, he doesn't get the sack, but again, he flushes the quarterback out of the pocket by just throwing the guard out of his way, and then he's able to also roll out. So you're seeing the power and the speed on that play. I really like Arvell Reese. Again, it's going to depend on how a team wants to use him. Um, but I think this is a guy you could comfortably take top five, top three, or potentially even number one overall. If especially if you're going to make him that full time edge rusher. I need some pass rush moves, but man, that speed, that power combination, and that flexibility is certainly really enticing. Um, should we get to our last big film guy here?
Let's do it, man.
All right. Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. He's from Raymer and Highland Home, Alabama, Highland Home High School, 6'6", 285. He was a four-star recruit, seventh ranked player in the state, ninth on the defensive line, and 62nd in the country by 247. Ben, talk to us about Keldrick Falk.
He was one of the more difficult guys for me to grade and analyze, to be honest, but here it
Yes.
goes. He moves like a much smaller, lighter guy. You mentioned 6'6", 284. He moves like a smaller guy than that. He fluid, smooth. He runs so well. Very fluid, very smooth. Constantly moves back and forth between defensive tackle and defensive end. I mean, they just back and forth, whatever down, whatever play, a lot. He gets double teamed a lot. Teams are obviously worried about this guy. They consistently double team him. They need to know where he's at. Um, those double teams are largely effective, though. Didn't see him splitting as many of those as I would have liked, to be honest. Especially in 25. That's where most of my tape comes from. He is fantastic at getting pressure on the QB from both spots. I mentioned edge, defensive tackle, but he's better off the edge. He is much better at getting pressure on the quarterback from off the edge. Um, did not have a quick start off the line at 24, but it was better in 25, I noticed. So that was a big pickup for me that he had improved that in his game. It seemed like I don't know if that's more focus or what, or he just practiced it more in the offseason. I don't know, but quicker start off the line in 25. Where am I at here? Has a variety of moves, slaps, spins, good with both hands, feet working together. Love that. So love the moves. Plenty of strength, plenty of power, but that is not his primary game. This is not the bully who makes a living from from bull rushing. We've talked about guys who do that.
Hmm.
He has plenty of strength, he has plenty of power, but it's speed, off the edge, up the middle, push, pull, moves. Lots of moves. I really like all of that. Now he's much better at stopping the run from defensive tackle. He'll shed a lot of blocks to swallow up running backs. Didn't see that as much at defensive end. It's almost like he switches mindsets at defensive end, like he's after the quarterback at that point. From defensive tackle, he's much more disciplined. He works a little bit better. He'll do better at the run game at defensive tackle. His highlights are amazing, and he gets pressure on the quarterback a lot. But there are times when his game goes quiet. I wonder if he's getting worn down. I always hate to say that about any football player. I know they practice hard. I know in some cases they're practicing in high humidity during the summer. But you do wonder, there's even a lot of instances where he's just not on the field at all. And you're like, well, dang it, that was a good down to have him on the field. This
Hmm.
this is a Southeastern Conference opponent. The score is close. It's in the second half. It's third and six. He's not out there. And so you wonder, does he get a little bit worn down? While he's a big guy, he's not necessarily big framed, right? Because he's got that height. It's spread out pretty good. It lends itself more to speed. He has power, but you do wonder, does he get a little bit worn down? There are times he's a dominant force. I mean, just looks absolutely unstoppable sometimes. Um, Plays against top competition there in the Southeastern Conference. Um, Saw him get held a lot. That's going to happen at the NFL level too. I noticed when guys can line up on him and get their hands inside of him where they're obviously holding, but he's not strong enough in terms of power to shove them off. And I don't see him necessarily disengaging a lot from that. They're getting a grip inside. It's a hold every time, but it's effective. That's one way to kind of work against him. NFL people are going to do that. I've got him top 10. Some people do, some people don't. When I see the top end of what he can do, and does it a lot, it's not like he breaks it out every once in a while. He does it a lot. Boy, that is a quality right there that is hard to come by. It's really difficult to come by a guy like that. And yet I realize it's not all day, every day, right? Um, there are times where he's a little bit inconsistent about that. There's times where he just disappears for stretches or gets taken off the field. So, you gotta take that into account too. But I really love Falk here. I've got him top 10 at the moment.
What's his what's his production like? This is probably something I should just know from doing this. Let's see. He's got 2 sacks this year, seven last year, one the year before. So that was interesting because I was listening to something, might have even been Dane Brugler talk about like the things Auburn asks their edge rushers to do. And maybe it is just a lot of two gapping. Maybe it is just a lot like they're not pinning their ears back a whole lot. I mean, when you're recruiting 6'6", 285-pound defensive ends who, yeah, move up and down the line, that is different than the David Baileys, right? That we talked about, the
Right.
hired gun, 6'3", 250,
It is.
just getting to pin your ears back. But I do wonder, like, if he goes somewhere where, yeah, he is playing as like a 4-3 end strictly, but he just gets to like go, just like get after the quarterback. What would that look like? Because he moves really smooth.
Right. Very
And
smooth.
there are times where, like you said, depending on what game you're watching, and again, I've highlighted this in a couple of the videos this year. We never know week to week as much ball as somebody can know, right? You could have played Division 1 football. You could have played professional football. I mean, those guys know better than the people that haven't played football. You don't know week to week what a coach or play to play what a coach is asking a player to do, right? So to make assessments off of just what we see is really hard. We just can't be 100% steadfast in everything we see. But I do feel like I have seen just from I watched the Baylor game this year and the Alabama game last year. I only went back and watched the Alabama game because you told me you had Falk so high. And I was like, okay, let me watch something else. Um, and I felt like the game plan for those two games specifically, and maybe it was because it was Milrow, right? Milrow last year, so fat. Like, hey man, just get after him. Just try to push that pocket and like get to Milrow as fast as you can. Versus Baylor this year. Um, so here's what I got for Falk. Just a couple plays, just a couple from the Baylor play. This is a good run defensive snap here. He engages that right tackle. He's number 15. Okay, so he engages that defensive tackle and just immediately pushes him off. Just to gets him out of his way. Disengage. Good use of getting his hands on quick. Good use pushing him off. Stops the run. All right, next play here. He's going to use that long frame on this next run. He's going to play over the guard, play over 62 left guard here. Boom, two hands, push back, push back. Boom, bat that ball down. Those big mitts up, big boy. I like that. Here is a real pass rush rep. He's lined up over the right tackle again, and he's going to, again, use a little bit of everything. He's got good footwork here. Boom. He does this nice little fake out. I like this. It's almost like a power to speed play before he gets to the quarterback. He's going to get off quick. He's going to get his hands up like he did to the right tackle on the first play. Right tackle goes to put his hands up too, get after his hands. Falk brings his hands down quickly. It's not quite a ghost move because not his whole body sneaking past him, but it's like, hey, I'm going to get you off balance by having you reach for my hands. And then I'm going to pull my hands away and you're still going to be looking for them. And I'm going to use that time. I am going to use that speed I have. Boom. Because he gets around there quick. There's a little dip, kind of like Bane, too. That quarterback has no chance. Quarterback was not expecting big old 15 to get there as fast as he did. So there's some interesting stuff here. And then again, when I went and watched Alabama, I didn't clip any of those ones. There's not any like, oh wow, there was a spin move that I didn't see. There's none of that. But it just feels like when he is asked to do it, he could just get a little bit quicker and just take a more direct line. He's not two gapping the same way. He's not playing for the same stuff. When he's asked to do it, it feels like he can get after the quarterback. So that's really interesting. Again, the low sacks and the low like immediate speed off the edge every time. And if you're saying there's like a lot of plays on, a lot of plays off, there's a lot more projection that goes into that. That's not necessarily going well with the projection defensive ends that we had from last year's draft. Shamar Stewart, obviously, Michael Williams was like playing well, progressing nicely, but like wasn't he got to the NFL and was asked to do different things and was
Yeah.
standing out before he tore his ACL. So I wonder how teams will view that kind of guy this year. But yeah, I mean, 6'6", 285 is also just sick. Like that, that's really cool. Um, so Falk is interesting. This is like you and I think, are kind of swapped on Bailey and Falk. Um, which is funny. As I get older, I just give me the fast guys, man. I don't know. I guess I'm in a weird part of my development or something myself. But anyways, Keldrick Falk out of Auburn, interesting. I think he's kind of this ilk of just like there's a lot of these like long, strong, good-footed kind of edge rushers in this thing, but not a lot of like this is a true standout pass rusher. If you were so I know you said you have Falk like top 10 and Reese kind of more top 20-ish. If we were gonna just stack them just as edge rushers and you were a GM and or I'm the GM and you're the scout. I'm saying, hey, we need an edge rusher. We're drafting in the top 10. I need a pure. I just need a guy to be an edge rusher all the time. Don't get too hung up on like 4-3 or 3-4 or whatever. Where would you have Reese? Where would you have Falk? How would you stack those two?
I love them both. I would take Falk, especially if I'm looking for the guy who's going to get to the quarterback. The smoothness and the speed off the edge, um, and the moves that he shows when he's not being asked to do all these other things, when he's just, again, depending on down situation, but just that, I'll take Falk. It's there on tape that he can so consistently and quickly get to the quarterback.
Hmm.
I mean, it's there in spades. With Arvell Reese, boy, that guy is run shut down. Plus, he can get to the quarterback. Plus, he can slide out and shut down all those screens. So there's a lot I like there about both guys. They're to me, they're both very different, and I feel like Reese is probably the more solid prospect, to be honest, the safer guy, and his high end may be just as big. But boy, Falk's high end is pretty high when you see what he can do. And again, he's playing in the Southeastern Conference, and
Hmm.
you know, Brugler that you mentioned about what they ask him, that's common in the Southeastern Conference actually, not just for Auburn, but the Southeastern Conference is so big and so tough and so complex. They have most of the best coaches and everything. You really can't get by with just having a guy who does nothing but come off the edge and get after the quarterback like a David Bailey. You really can't do that. The Southeastern Conference figured out about 25 years ago we need big guys on the defensive line, and we need them to also be fast and strong. And we're going to chase those guys in recruiting more than offensive linemen, more than quarterbacks. We're going to go after those guys, and you really can't get by with just having the David Baileys out there. And in that way, it's more NFL like, you know. You have to have guys that are big enough and strong enough and can do enough different things to stay on the field. And Falk can do that, but his best thing is when you plant him over at defensive end and let him work off of that. That's really his best thing.
All right, Ben. I don't know how we do it every time, man, but it's been an hour and 10 minutes, and we've talked about five guys. We're gonna get through. We have seven more names we want to mention here. I'm gonna let you hit your guy here, and then I'll hit my guy. We have kind of our pet guys here up next, so we'll just kind of take turns getting that, and then we'll hit these last few guys before we get out of here. So lightning round here from me and Ben. Front seven again. Hey, I don't think I did an official hi. If you're here on YouTube, thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed that. The text reel there at the bottom talked about last week's podcast the whole time, so appreciate that. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know who you really like that we're talking about tonight. If there's anybody that you feel like we missed, because we'll get back and we'll talk about those guys soon. All right. Anybody that's we're not hitting tonight, we will hit at some point more than likely. So be on the lookout for that. If you're listening, thank you as always for being here. We really appreciate it. Check out Box Score Network. Check out Pro Football Enterprises. Both those things on YouTube. Check out all the pods with Box Score. Everybody, thank you for being here. But Ben, Caleb Banks, defensive tackle out of Florida, redshirt senior, transferred to Florida from Louisville, listed at 6'6", 330. He was a three-star recruit out of Southfield, Michigan, and Southfield High School. He was the 25th ranked player in the state and 99th ranked defensive lineman. Banks suffered a foot injury though in the third week of the season this year against LSU. I should say he potentially re-aggravated a foot injury from last year. Everyone's being kind of quiet on if it's the exact same foot, if it's the exact same injury, but you never like to see that sort of thing with a big guy like Banks. Um, you really like Banks. Talk to me about Caleb Banks out of Florida.
I love Caleb Banks. I've got him top 10, but not anymore. All right. And not just for the medical thing. All right. So last night we did a show, and this will come out on this channel actually in a week or two. We did a show, me, Shane, Austin, our team. We did a show, and they brought up some inconsistencies. Now, again, most of us as draft analysts, there's a few guys who watch every single game. Most guys just don't have that kind of time. All right. If you do this full time, you have 60 hours a week, you can watch every game on a lot of these guys. We don't. We watch about 3 games each, and that's what a lot of the analysts do, right? That's where
Hmm.
they pick up at. So I did Caleb Banks. I watched him against Miami. I watched him against UCF. I watched him against another team. I can't remember who that was. All that's from 24 tape, and I loved him. I thought he looked unstoppable. I thought he was splitting double teams. I thought he was getting triple teamed very often. I could even see him hustling. He can't catch anybody. He doesn't have that kind of speed, but I saw him hustling to go make plays down the line. I saw him hustling to make plays back at second level, curling back around. But most of all, I just saw him swallowing running backs and quarterbacks whole. I mean, unbelievable. I'm going to read off a couple notes here. Strong, upper body, lower body, arms, wrecking ball, weapon of mass destruction, blows up the running game, gets home for sacks on quarterbacks, demands double teams, often triple teamed. I could go on and on about what I saw out of those 3 games from this guy. Now, Shane and Austin did a great job, and it's one reason I love working as a team. Whether it's 3 men, 4 men, we're going to catch it. If it's out there, we're going to catch it. And what they caught was he's not doing this in all the games. Okay, he's just not. He's inconsistent. So even before we get to the medical, we will. He's inconsistent about this. So I've backed off of that a lot because you even if you love a guy, and I do, if he's not producing, you knock him down for it. I don't care why he's not producing, you knock him down. And then on top of that, if he's inconsistent, you knock him down. I've got another prospect we may or may not touch on tonight. I knocked him down for being wildly inconsistent. So I've knocked him down to back into the first round. He certainly got top 10 potential. He's got that flash, but he is, according to what we've been talking about on our side of things, he's not showing that consistently. Matter of fact, there's plays he takes off basically, not seeing an effort. There's games where he's just not showing up. There's second halves where he looked great in the first half, and maybe he's just
Mm.
tired in the second half and he's not showing up. So, all of that's a really big problem, right? You're not going to draft the guy top 10 when that is happening. But the high side is there. You can literally see him. I mentioned, who was it? Arvell Reese a few minutes ago, who could take a guy with one arm and just drag him out of the
Hmm.
way.
Yep.
Um, uh, uh, Caleb Banks can do that with all the offensive linemen. He can grab him by the arm and sling him out of the way. He's
Yep.
got that. But again, if he's not going to show that consistently, you're going to have to back off of that. Now, real quick, the medical thing is huge. This may knock him out of the first round. It might knock him down to the fifth round. It might take him out of the draft. All right. It is a big deal. I won't get too far into it. It's a very big deal. We don't know exactly. Nobody does. They're being very quiet about it. But anyway, that's it on Caleb Banks. And you know, I really like what I see, but it's not happening enough.
I will say just for Banks, because of where he was on the mocks, because I knew he was injured, I just watched the one game and I watched the LSU game from this year. And I see both, I see both those things. I see all the good you're talking about. The thing that popped off to me was 6'6", 330, and just pop and everything. Feet with the quickness, hands with the punch,
Yeah.
taking guys down. But then I also saw a lot of like, why didn't he quite get there? Like, why didn't he finish that play?
Mm-hmm.
And then, when but I knew that was the game he got injured in, so I just kind of attributed to, well, I don't know when the foot started bothering him at that point. But hearing that from Shane and Austin, that's good to know from a scouting perspective, right? That could be part of it. So we'll see what happens with the foot. Here's my guy, Sonny Styles out of Ohio State, senior linebacker, 6'5", 243 listed. Played safety his first 2 years with the Buckeyes before making the position change from Pickerington, Ohio, and Pickerington Central High School. He was a five-star recruit. 247 had him as their third ranked player in the state, second ranked safety, 27th ranked player in the nation. And then when you tell me that this is not only a good linebacker class, right? I already got excited. I told you that in August. I told you that when we got ready for this show.
Yeah.
Give me a linebacker class. And now you're telling me there's a 6'5", 243-pound linebacker who used to play safety? Yeah, give me that. So when I'm watching Styles' film, I see every bit of all those things that I'm excited about. The long and athletic frame, love that. He looks very comfortable out there in space and in coverage, so I like that. He'll take on blocks in the running game, though. He doesn't look like he was playing safety a couple years ago. He looks like he's playing linebacker because he will take on those blocks. He'll even line up on the edge a little bit, not doing the same things as effectively as Arvel Reese does, but he will line up out there and he'll set the edge. He'll be there.
Yeah.
I will say drawbacks. Let me just not get too ahead of my skis. He's not a hair on fire guy, 24/7. Um, maybe that's a maybe it's not the physicality of linebacker, but maybe just the mental processing of seeing where everything is the thing that slows him down because he is the one pointing out things to everybody a lot of the time. So maybe it's just he's doing so much pre-snap. Once the snap happens, he's like, "Oh wait, I'm a little late to the party," and then it can lead to some bad angles that he's taking on some tackle attempts out in space. So like, I was a little sad to see that. Now again, that was just like one game that I watched. Um, but I will say that that's there, right? Don't think like I'm not gonna lie. I was hoping for Fred Warner, Ben. Okay, I was hoping for.
Right.
I heard 6'5" linebacker that played safety before, and I was hoping for Fred Warner. And we're, newsflash, everybody, there's not Fred Warner just sitting there at Ohio State. That's projected late in the first round. Shocker. Uh, but I still really like this guy. I like a lot of what I see, and if I can get in a meeting room and find out why he's a little slowed on things, um, and we can maybe work on it, then maybe I'm considering this guy as like a top half of the first round sort of player. But if not, late first round into the second round, Sonny Styles, versatile linebacker, I'm interested in.
I love Sonny Styles. Can I brag on Sonny Styles a little bit?
Please do.
Because you're right. The negative is there. I noticed that too. There's a lot of plays that run to the edge. He's trailing those plays a lot. You see that a lot. He's trailing plays.
Yep.
He's not blowing things up the way some of these other guys we talked about are, right? He's not
Yes.
going in with two sticks of dynamite like Stone Cold Steve Austin and blowing things up behind the line of scrimmage.
Right.
That's not him. But oh my gosh, the run support is really good.
Mm-hmm.
He limits everything. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he limits all run plays. He's the cleanup guy. He's the guy
Yep.
making sure that 4 yard gain doesn't go for 20 or 75. Beautiful at that. Real quick though, this his real specialty seems to be zone coverage. Zone coverage. He really
Mm-hmm.
seems to understand it well and feel it too. He can line up at the line, at the snap, and drop seamlessly from the line of scrimmage. I mean, drop seamlessly into the second level in pass
Mm-hmm.
coverage and into the third level in pass coverage,
Yep.
seamlessly up and down. It is beautiful. I don't see anybody else doing that. Um, does this a lot. He's actually picking up people who come into his zones. He You can't check down in his area. Any running
Mm-hmm.
back or tight end who tries to settle around anywhere in his area, he eats it up. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot check down to his area. He will take all that away. It is beautiful. That is so perfect for today's NFL. I mean, oh my gosh, he will eat everything up there. So he can go second, third level, carry routes, and eat up all the checkdowns in his area. Just absolutely beautiful. And last thing I will say, he takes away all the yak yardage. You runs after
Mm-hmm.
the catch, there's none. If it's anywhere in his sphere, he's intelligent enough to find it and take it away. There is no yak yardage with him. So I love this guy. He's a very different player. He's not like a lot of the other guys we've been talking about tonight, but boy, do I love him. And I had him late first. I wouldn't even mind taking him top 20. I really like this guy.
Let's stick with a couple linebackers here, and I'll mention both of them, and you
Okay.
you tell me what you want. Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas, who at certain points this year was the number one off ball linebacker, and I
Yeah.
think now is kind of the number four, and then C.J. Allen out of Georgia, who seems to be rising a little bit. Hill is your classic bug inside linebacker, man. 6'3", 238, junior, born in Wichita, Kansas, grew up in Denton, Texas, where he attended Billy Ryan High School. He was a five-star, number one overall linebacker, number three player in the state of Texas, number 17 player overall in the country. And then CJ Allen from Georgia, 6'1", 235, a little smaller, was a four-star recruit out of Lamar County High School from Barnesville, Georgia. 247 had him as their fourth ranked player in the state, fourth ranked linebacker, 48th ranked player overall. From a mold perspective, I think these guys are of similar molds. These are these are downhill, more old school in the box linebackers. I think CJ Allen does a little bit can do a little bit more in pass coverage. Hill is your like hair on fire blitzer downhill in the beat gap kind of guy. Um, but both are I think well worthy of back half of the first round, late first round. Um, Linebackers being taken to play pretty early right away in the NFL. What do you think? What do you have on either of these guys?
I like both of them. I like both of them in the first round. I still like Anthony Hill a lot. It's amazing. You can see this with some of the LSU draft prospects. You can see it with some of the Penn State draft prospects, with some of the Clemson draft prospects, and with some of the Texas draft prospects. It's amazing when the season starts to go drastically south, which it has for all four of these teams. Texas probably the least, but all four of these teams, excuse me, have not been what they thought they were going to be at the start of the year. It seems to affect everybody's play. Can't explain it. It's like a disease. It just seems to infect everybody, and they seem to play worse. So I'm basically right where I was on Anthony Hill at the start of the season. I think he's explosive. I'm somewhere in the first round on him,
Hmm.
15 to 32.
Hmm.
Love him. I think he's more explosive than Allen. I think he can go sideline to
Yes. Hmm.
sideline.
Hmm.
I think he can cover larger areas. I think he can in zone. I like him better in pass coverage in zone, not man oh man, but zone. And then in getting to the quarterback, this is a guy who can move a lot of different places, do a lot of different things. He can blow up screens. So I really like Anthony Hill. CJ Allen, I think, is much better. I say much better. Yeah, he's much better against the run. CJ Allen will absolutely blow things up against the run. I've got him first round as well. I really like CJ Allen. This is a first round guy for me. The one thing I will say about CJ Allen is something you and I have talked about now for multiple years with Georgia guys. Little raw. The talent and the athleticism is there. It's undeniably, unquestionably there. Doesn't seem like it's fully developed. And you're like, can I take that and develop it? The answer is probably yes, but I've got that to do. And so, that's where I feel like CJ Allen in some of the pass coverage and in some of the getting to the quarterback doesn't seem like he's yet hit full stride, but I think he's athletic enough to do it. So just get him with the right NFL defense.
And Hill is yeah, the burst, the athleticism is definitely there. A little more like Styles in a different way. He can overrun the play a little bit, right? He can
Hmm.
take bad angles because he's kind of
Yes,
overrunning the
he can.
play. I do think Allen is a little more secure of a tackler,
Right,
but again,
right,
like 6'1", 235 as an off-ball linebacker, like I'm getting a little nervous. It's easier nowadays.
right.
I do wish, and again, I haven't watched a ton yet. I watched the Alabama game from this year on Allen. He was doing a lot of downhill stuff. Um, I
Hmm.
do wish I felt a little more like, okay, this guy's pretty good in pass coverage for being 6'1", 235.
Right,
But then again, if you're going up against 6'4" tight ends, like you might just be limited in that capacity anyways. Whereas Hill, I do think he does drop back into space fairly well if he's just kind of handling his zone, like you said.
right,
But he's
right.
definitely just best at the line of scrimmage and going forward. So both
Hmm.
guys will take on offensive
Right.
linemen, though. Both guys, neither has a
Yes.
problem sticking their face in the fan and getting physical. Um, I, this is just such a fun linebacker class, man. This is so great. And you've got
Yes.
Reese who could play a little bit of edge. You got Styles who could really kind of get back and be in pass coverage. Hill is your right in the B gap, messing things up, big body guy. And then Allen is like, I could see him being molded into a lot of different things. Um,
Right.
it was funny,
Absolutely.
man. When I was watching, well, it wasn't funny, but when I was watching the Chargers Steelers game, I saw who's the Chargers veteran? Oh, Perriman, Denzel Perriman. And I always forget until he pops up on screen because people mention this all the time, like how he has the most fire hydrant like body of any NFL linebacker. And you know, I watched Alan Roberts for 2 years, right? And all those years with the
Oh,
Patriots, like.
Yeah.
Like same thing, man. 6 foot 250. Like yeah, nah, Perriman being 5'11", 260 or whatever he is, just like
It's a fullback, baby.
h- hilarious, man. It's so great. And hey, he's been a linebacker in the NFL for a long time. So Allen can,
Mm,
6'1", 235.
yes,
He'd have to beef
absolutely.
up quite a bit to get there. But listen, man, you can do this at 6'1". All right, let's get to some of these other edge rushers. Kind of in that same range for me though. Those like late first round guys. I don't really have anybody popping off out of this group. Um, which is really probably only disappointing for this one guy. So I'm going to give the backgrounds for all three. Talk about what you want. TJ Parker from Clemson, out of Phoenix City, Alabama Central High School, where he was a four-star recruit. 6'3", 260 for Parker. He was 247's fourth ranked player in the state, sixth ranked defensive lineman, and 43rd ranked player in the nation. Mateo Uiagalelei from Oregon. He's a 6'5", 275-pound edge rusher, or 270, 275 edge rusher, four-star recruit out of St. John Bosco High School in Bellflower, California. He was 247's fifth ranked player in the state, sixth overall edge rusher, 47th ranked player in the country. And then LT Overton for Alabama. Shout out to Austin Freed because Austin told us to be on the lookout for this guy early last year. All right, and Overton's gonna be coming out now, probably senior edge rusher out of Alabama via Texas A&M. 6'5", 278 pounds, listed five-star recruit, fourth ranked player in the state, sixth ranked player on the defensive line, 17th ranked player coming out of Milton High School in Milton, Georgia. He also attended Bessemer Academy in Alabama and was born in College Station, Texas. Ben, from this group here, who do you really like? Does anybody here stand out to you among the others?
It, none of those three guys do I like as good as the group we already talked about, to be clear. But all three guys deserve to be coveted, but there are different issues with all three. I'm going to dwell on Mateo Uiagalelei from Oregon for just a second here. Okay, I'm going to read off a couple of notes and then hit my thing. Strong, smart, fast. Okay, strong. He is strong. He is smart.
Mhm,
He's a smart football player. Excuse me, and he's fast. At his best, he looks like an easy first round pick. When he's at his
mhm,
absolute best, easy first round pick. He's exploding off the edge, literally exploding off the edge. He's physical. He's winning the hand battles. He's batting down balls. He's even working a very shallow zone coverage. He's not
mhm,
carrying
mhm.
routes, but very shallow. He'll just drop back, play a little shallow zone. It's beautiful, but it's inconsistent. All right. Other days, there's nothing. I mean, other days, there's absolutely nothing. I watched the 24 Penn State tape and I was bored to absolute tears. Nothing was happening with this guy. And then I was like, well, obviously that's not the game to be watching this guy. So I turned on the
Mhm.
25 Penn State tape and it was the exact same thing. Now, in one of those games late, he does pick up a sack and has a good play. But by and large, I mean, out of 80 plays in those two games, there's like 75 plays of boring nothingness. He's producing
Yeah.
nothing. He's stopping no runs. He's not getting the QB. I mean, nothing. And I forget, let's see, the Indiana tape, 25 Indiana tape, same thing. Just largely
Mhm.
nothing, a big zero.
Yep.
And yet, Wisconsin in 24 dominated. He ruled the entire game that day, 2024 against Wisconsin. 25 Northwestern. They couldn't stop him. And there is, I forget, second quarter, third quarter, there is the most beautiful, fast spin move against Northwestern
Mhm.
that you will ever see anybody do. And you're like, my gosh, where did that come from? So I've got him second round. I know people that like him first round. I can see both things. I just wish I knew which player I was getting because there's a lot of days. It's not just one quarter or one play. It's a lot of days where he's just not there. And I don't know what that
Mhm.
is. No clue what that is. But that's there. So anyway, that's Ui Agalale. I really like him until I'm bored with him. That's kind of how I am right there.
I watched that same Indiana 2025 game for Mateo, and I saw the exact same thing. Like, you like the makeup. There's not a ton
Mhm.
of negatives, right? Long, lean frame, but
Right.
uses the length
Right.
well to keep linemen off his body. He is light on his feet. He can knife one way or the other, stay
Hmm.
nimble. You could even have him as a spy or like edge setting scenario of just like
Yes.
how quick he can be on his feet. Um, he does have the sort of thing I had to look for because of that game. Like he's not really breaking out a lot of pass rush moves. So you mentioning that spin move, yeah,
Right.
I could see where that would be like the holy grail coming in because there was the occasional one in that Indiana game. Even that was mostly just like a chop or a dip or something. But it's usually just a plugger bull rusher. Um, but for being 6'5", 270, like he looks a little lean. He is strong, man. He is
Yes.
strong. That his legs specifically, like I would not be surprised if a team brought him in to do some tush push. Like, the
Yeah.
teams that have the tight end come in and do it.
Yes.
Someone, if they can teach this guy to take a snap, I mean, shoot, his brother was a quarterback. I'm sure he's done it before. Um, there is leg drive in there, and the strength overall leads to a really useful bull rush. He will use those long arms, that long
Hmm.
frame, get the guy off his body, and the offensive lineman could look 50 pounds heavier, and Mateo's just pushing him back, pushing him
Right.
back, pushing him back.
Right.
Strong, 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 strong. But yeah, no, there's not a lot of pass rush moves. There's not a lot of finesse or anything like that. He's just out there playing defensive end, trying to earn a living. LT Overton, same thing. Long, strong frame, 6'5",
Yeah.
280 though. Like that's exciting. Strong hands specifically. So Mateo, I mentioned like the leg drive, the leg strength. Overton has strong hands. That gives me a little more hope for there to be a little bit more pass rush
Yeah.
because you can do stuff with that. You can chop and swim and long arm and just push guys out of your way. So I see a little more pass rush juice from Overton because of that, but he is a stout run defender, just like Mateo, that holds his ground. But TJ Parker was the guy that was kind of in the top 10 before the season, right? Uyunglele and Overton, I think were always kind of back half first round into second round guys, and I think they've largely met that expectation. But TJ Parker was the one that was like, okay, like it's Woods and Parker, right? These guys are both going to go top 10.
Yeah.
And Parker, very useful, right? Stocky build and athletic at 6'3", 260. That natural leverage for a good dunk and dip move on the pass rush, like we've talked about with a couple of these guys. He can get out and defend the flat a little bit too. I have a clip somewhere of him actually getting out in the flat and defending a play.
Right.
Um, and this isn't just like, oh, he's 6'3" and he's underperforming, so he must just be a situational pass rusher. No, I've got plays where he's reading and reacting and shedding blocks in the run game, but there's
Yes.
just not a lot of juice as the edge rusher. And if you're going to be Ruben Bain and be 6'3", 270 and bring the speed to power, that's one thing. Um, if you're going to be a David Bailey or Arvell Reese and be 6'3", 240 to 250 and have a lot of speed, okay, that's useful. Parker just feels like he's in between 6'3", 260, but he's not tremendously strong. He doesn't always really use his hands the way Bane does to keep guys off
Right.
of him.
Right.
He's just kind of out there. Hey, I could set the edge like a Mateo, like an Overton. I can dip a little bit, but I'm not doing a whole. I don't have a real pass rush repertoire that I'm using right now. Maybe this is the guy that's the best case for like, hey, high ceiling because if we teach him a couple moves, he'll be there. Um, like Alex Highsmith might have been a little this way coming out. I try not to just do Steeler stuff, but again, this is a similar build.
This is what you know.
And
Yes.
Highsmith was a third round pick out of Charlotte,
Yeah.
and it has moves. He's got the spin. He's got a ghost move. Like if you teach this guy a couple moves, I think he has the athleticism to get there, but nothing's really popping off right now for him.
With TJ Parker, the 24 tape is beautiful. I think it's something like 50 tackles. There's a whole bunch of tackles for loss, double digits. I want to say 15, 16, 18, something like that. And then I think if I remember right, it was I don't want to overrate the sacks. There were a bunch of sacks too. I mean, it's all there. He deserved
Hmm.
the attention he was getting heading into this year. Um, and there's a lot of explosiveness. Boy, he could just. But that was his mainly his only job last year. Okay, that was it. Right off the bat this season, LSU game, you could see them using that hyperactivity off the
Hmm.
edge against him. Every
Hmm.
play was just like running right at him or running just inside of him. And he's sitting back here with the quarterback because he can get
Yeah.
there. And the play has already gone past him. And you mentioned he's not he has strength, but that's not his game. It's all speed and quickness off the edge. He can disengage really fast. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh. But there's no moves, there's no development there. You know, he's got the athleticism to go anywhere on the field, but he has no real pass coverage skills. He has no zone recognition, route reading skills. That's none of that's there. So this year, what's had to happen in the middle of the season, so many teams were using Clemson's aggressiveness and against them. They've actually had TJ Parker not rush the quarterback and drop back into this real short boundary zone in the
Mm,
flat a lot.
hmm
Like, well, dang it, that's a waste of, real talent,
Right.
but that's what they've had to do
Mm,
because their secondary is not communicating well, getting beat, and TJ Parker's overrunning a lot of plays as an edge rusher. He's
mm.
not stopping the run. The talent is there to be first round, but it's unpolished. It has not been developed yet.
The NFL is so different from the NBA because everybody has the same like amount of not the same amount, but everyone's got a defensive line coach, everyone's got a linebacker coach, so everyone's got the things they're working on, and it's a little like the NBA where they have their trainers and stuff that they do in the off season.
Yeah,
But I really wish some former player would become the NFL's version of Akeem Olajuwon,
right,
where it's like, hey, I'm gonna teach you all my post moves, and like it's up to you if you figure it out or not.
right.
I wish like can we get I don't know who do we want? Who do we want to go to? Can we get Dwight Freeney to just host like pass
Yeah.
rusher? I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, George Kittle. Don't wanna get in on your licensing there. Um, can we just have a like it's Madden training camp? Can we have a pass rush off-season workout plan that Dwight Freeney hosts every summer, where we just send all these raw guys that don't that clearly have the one two and the strength and the speed and the build and the makeup,
Right.
and it's like just teach them three moves, man. Can we get an up and under? Can we get a finger roll? Can we get a hook shot? Can we get a drop step? Come on, just give me. If you gave Parker a little repertoire, man, I think he has everything else you need.
Right.
Just right now,
Right.
like you said, the development. It just feels like he's just like running, running,
Yeah.
and he's not 90th percentile speed to where the running is just faster than everybody, and it's not 90th percentile strength where he's just running and pushing people over.
Right.
So it's just like, gosh, if you could just two moves, man, get two moves, you'll be there. Um, all right, we got to 147. We got to an hour 47, Ben. We made up for the extra time. We got seven dudes done in 30 minutes after five dudes done in an hour and 15, taken out of context. That's pause. But we did our thing as always. Anything else here on the front seven? And this, we'll get to the defense backs. We'll do that in like January. Maybe we'll do an extra one in December. But um, the end of really our big like breakdown of we probably have done what 40 to 50 prospects so far during these shows. Feeling good about the draft, man? Feeling good about front seven? You getting ready for this thing?
I love the front seven. I love the draft. We work on it all year, right? Obviously, we love it. Um, for anybody in the audience, obviously, there's some really good players in the front seven we didn't even touch on, and it's possible they might even get drafted in the first round.
Hmm.
I mean, there's
Oh
some
yeah.
good players. It's just that many. There's that much depth. So I really do love this. Everybody we talked about tonight deserved to be talked about. Absolutely. The other thing I will say is you alluded to it earlier, what we're doing on this channel. We have added a lot more draft stuff. It's not draft only, but it's a lot of draft stuff. So what you're going to have individual reports. If you want to look up one player, a lot of those players will be listed individually, coming from me and Shane and Austin. You'll have the group stuff coming from me and Simon, and then you'll have the tape film study stuff coming from Simon. So you could hear about the same player in three different ways from four different people.
Yep.
That's what you could possibly be getting here in the future. We're still streamlining a lot of that, but that's kind of what we're trying to get out there for you. Obviously, we don't have the time to hit everybody to that extent, but that is kind of the direction we're taking right now.
Whether you're here on the Simon and Friends podcast, whether you are here on the Buck Sport Network YouTube channel, whether you're heading over to Pro Football Enterprises, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you taking the time to hear what we have to say. Please, we want to interact with you on it. We like leave us a comment, shoot us a DM. My DMs are open on Twitter. We would love to have these conversations. So hit us with a comment if there's something in the film you want to know, or something that you've seen that you want to impart to us, or you have a question. Like we want to have those conversations. So please hit us up on any of the videos on YouTube. Hit me up on Twitter at Simon_short. Um, any way you want to talk to us, any way you want to follow us, we want to do that because we had a lot of fun doing the draft as a whole network last year. You know, when Peyton gets involved in this, we have a really good group of people and really good conversations and really good draft stuff. So it's essentially been, it's almost Thanksgiving. Listen, buddy, I've already started watching my Hallmark Christmas movies. I'm fully in this year. I'm not. Last year I started late because I was doing the draft stuff more earlier than I ever had. Um, but to me, that just means it's draft season. I'm already there. All right, the NFL's great. Whatever. My quarterback's 41. I'm thinking about the draft. Um, we're fully in draft season. So whether you're here on Simon and Friends, Box Score, Pro Football Enterprises, be here for the draft with us. Get excited because we're excited for sure. That's going to do it for the episode. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, follow, comment, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you to Ben for all the work as always. Thank you to Ben for being here. We will talk to you again soon. So everybody, thank you so much. Have fun and be safe out there.